the Osage County R2 School District October meeting to order. Welcome all our guests. And do we have anybody who would like to speak tonight?
We do not have any.
We do not. Okay, I'm shocked. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. All right, nobody for open forum. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I will mention that because we don't have closed session tonight, the list of substitutes is on the consent agenda as we've done previously. All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. All right, motion carries.
We'll go ahead and do the student recognition.
Student recognition.
Hi.
Hey. Hello.
Chris is not here, but I just wanted to let you know that Chris won. He was one of 20 that had a question answered, or that's going to be answered by a live astronaut on the International Space Station during a NASA's live Q&A on October 10th. He gets to go along with several other of our pre-eds students that we decide get to go. His question was, after the International Space Station is decommissioned, what is the next plan to help expand our space exploration? There will be over 100 students from area schools attending this event. The lady did call me yesterday. She said out of all of them, his was the first question that they had selected to be asked for the astronaut.
Nice.
If you are wondering what pre-eds is our pre-employment transition services. It's designed to help students who qualify under IDEA services and prepare them for employment or post-secondary transitions. So things like job exploration, self-advocacy, work-based learning, things like that. So, yay for him.
Very cool.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
Are we saving substitutes?
I had a question.
No, it was approved in the consent.
It was just a boy that's standing out there.
Oh.
Is that him? Let's do it all over again. We'll pretend like we did.
So I was like,
Yeah.
this boy's been out there, he's surely hanging out for a reason.
Do you want me to come up yet, or?
Yep, let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you want me to come up while I read? Yeah.
Yep.
Sure, that'd be good.
Okay, I'll take this. You want to see it right there? Okay. Out of 200 students, or 200 questions that were submitted, Chris's was picked to be presented to the International Space Station's NASA, like during their live Q&A on November 10th in Jefferson City. He gets to go along with several other of our pre-ed students. There will be over 100 other students from area schools. Chris's question to the NASA committee was, after the International Space Station is decommissioned, what is the next plan to keep expanding our space exploration? Chris, your question was the #1 question that was picked, they called it, tell me? So the first, out of 200 questions submitted, you got the first question. And then I just kind of explained what pre-eds is with the pre-employment transition and the program that you're in for that, so. All right.
Thanks, cool. Let's go ahead and switch this way, that way we'll get a little bit.
Which way you want?
You want to come this way a little bit?
Congratulations. Well done.
Have a good night. Congratulations, Mom.
Thank you.
Short and sweet, feel free to stay for the rest of the board meeting if you just like to discuss various hot topics and issues in education.
Let's get out of here. How'd they do? 1-1.
4-1.
Who do they play next, do you know?
Monday at 6 o'clock, district championship.
Okay, did I get I got a motion, did I get a second?
I think Brad
I
had
had a question on,
Yep.
there's it's listed as Armelin, Lewis, Armelin, $1,400, 10 cents, or 1410.
Can you tell me where it's at? That might help me.
I should screenshot it where.
Is it a name?
Yeah, looks like it's in probably sports, maybe?
I don't know that you did.
Right above Pro Training LLC. I snapped a picture of it, so I don't have the whole page. Lewis.
So that is a fee that we pay to sports. Do you recognize that name? So we pay an individual. My guess is it's probably
Like Armelin, Lewis,
official.
$1,400.
Arbiter, that's a scheduling system. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, I know it.
Oh.
You want to explain what arbiter is?
It's a fee. Have a description. That's all I have to, I screenshot it to that. so I can't
But
see
yeah,
it.
that's an arbiter that is an individual. It might have been from officiating fees or.
I'm looking for it.
It's likely based on the code and official. So somebody
Yeah, so-
that has officiated for us about a half dozen times this year, believe it or not, would earn about $1,400.
Yeah, if it bounces between the board meetings, they wouldn't get paid, so the check would have came
Oh, I
out.
see.
Now I had all together in one check. Huh? Yeah.
Billy, can you talk a little bit, this is a good time to talk about this, because I don't think everybody is aware what it costs us for officials. Now, keep in mind, we don't pay for like a chain gang for, say, football, so that's volunteers, boosters, but we do pay for 3 officials on the field. We pay for at least a couple umpires on the at softball, baseball, volleyball.
$250 a game, so you're talking 2-3 every single game is doing that. Sometimes football will have more.
Each one's paid
Each
$250
one, yeah.
for one game.
Yep. And then they
So
get.
$750 for 3 coat, 3 reps.
And then they get traveling fees in there too, some mileage if they travel together, like they'll pay the farthest person who lives out and they carpool together and they get mileage fees as well. And that price continues to skyrocket as Michigan's searching for officials. I see that price is continuing to go up.
And that price is not set by us, that's through
It's usually
Michigan.
set by like an association that comes through and kind of bring the area in to get the officials, they kind of set their fees of what they're gonna charge and we gotta do it.
To give an idea, would you say in the last 5 years that cost has doubled? Or come
easily.
close to
Not-
it?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
That's because of the shortage of officials.
Yeah, they get shorter and shorter officials, so now it's at the point where they can kind of say, this is what I want for a game to come out there, so then that's where the mileage comes in, they kind of set their fees and, so, well, we gotta be nice to officials.
Other questions on transfer and payment of bills? Did we do something in gym floor?
Yeah, we redo it every year, polish,
Okay.
refinish.
At what point are we gonna actually redo the gym floor?
Actually, I didn't put it in the list that's in the board packet, but one of the things that I'm going to present to you guys as an option for what we might do with our surplus bond money is to go, we're long overdue, and by long overdue, about 10 to 15 years for an actual resurface and paint of our floor. We did get a bid, it's about $34,500. Interestingly enough, that's the same price that I paid to do the floor at Jefferson City High School 10 years ago. And that's Lubert flooring, very common, and his price really hasn't changed much in 10 years.
How much was it?
$34,500. Pretty substantial price, but
Yep.
they go
Bear.
back to Bear, and then they'll paint it however you want it coming out, which would be nice.
How long have we had this logo? Anybody else?
I think
Well,
that,
maybe 4 or 5 years now.
that logo,
Yeah,
It's gotta be more than that.
right before I came.
it was right around
That, the
Yeah.
K-State Wildcat?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
2015.
Longer than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was about the
I'd say
same.
about 2015.
But not
Yeah.
that color.
No.
No, not the red, it was maroon or the burgundy like the chairs.
So the logo that's in there's been there probably
Since-
15, 20 years.
that logo on the floor in there has been
That
since
one's probably
2000.
Not that old,
10, 15.
10 or 15.
It had, Jim Crow was still here when they drew the angry with all the claws.
Yeah, okay. So it's due at any rate?
It is.
Okay, so I've got a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills in a second. Any other questions?
I don't
Did
think.
I
don't
didn't
think
get a
we have
second?
either.
I said it, did I not get one?
I'll second.
Okay, all right, we're struggling today. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. High school report.
Good evening, everybody. So to start off with our high school report, I put our enrollment numbers on there. We have went up since the beginning of the school year, which is really great because we were down since May. We've gained about 5 students, and right now we are a little bit higher than we were this time last year. So, which is great. Maybe the kids figured out, hey, we're in school, let's get going. So we'll take them, we love it. And actually, they've been really, really great kids to add, so we're really excited about that. So homecoming, I cannot brag enough about homecoming. It was phenomenal. I mean, just seeing the Wildcat spirit the whole week was awesome. From the bonfire and all the kids smashing that car, it was just so much fun that night. And the parade, the kids were excited. It was just an amazing week. So I want to thank everybody that was involved, and I can't believe the just outpouring of the community that helped out too. So I can't wait to see what other things we can add next year. It was really cool, really cool.
Agreed.
So we have restructured our Friday Wildcat times because during Wildcat time, what we do right now is our students who have D's and F's go to a special tutoring room. The rest of the students stay in Wildcat time, and that Wildcat time is for a study hall, so students can hopefully get homework done. They can go ask teachers for help, those kind of things the last 30 minutes of the day. Well, we found out that those students who were in just the other Wildcat times, by Friday they were starting to get a little bored. They had all their homework done, so we kind of restructured those Fridays. So what we've done is we're focusing on social emotional, some team building, and just some fun. So the second Friday of every month, we're looking at the 7 Habits of Healthy Teenagers. And it's a really great book if you want to read it, but it has lots of skills that students need to learn, and truthfully adults too, because going through these habits, I'm like, yeah, I need to remember some of these myself. So I create lessons that go with them, with activities that teach students some of these skills that they can take with them out in the community and hopefully on to college with them later in life. So every Friday, and that's what we're doing tomorrow, is one of our 7 Habit Fridays. So they work on those once a month. Then on the 3rd Friday, we have our student council. They create some team building activities. Oh my gosh, last month was a blast. Walking through the hallways, you could just hear the laughter because the kids did a human knot where they like grab onto each other and then they have to figure out how to get out of it. They all worked together. It was just really, really cool watching it and hearing all the fun they were having in the hallways. And then the last Friday of the month, we call it Wildcat Games. So each Wildcat time has a tribute. We go into the gym and student council has some sort of fun competition for us. Last month it was students versus teachers dodgeball. That was a blast. I think we beat the middle schoolers. The high schoolers definitely beat us. We'll just say that much. I think they were gunning for me with the first ball. But it was so much fun. So we're really excited about those Wildcat Fridays and just getting some team building and just school spirit in there. It's really, really cool. So also, we had something new this last month with our Central State 8. With our middle schoolers, we started a Central State 8 STEAM competition. So 8 of our students, 4 7th graders, 4 8th graders, went to Harrisburg and they competed in, it was an egg drop, a robotics, and a breakout box competition. And it was the first one ever. Mrs. Ashley and Mrs. Smith took them. Kudos to them, they did a fabulous job. And our kids got 3rd out of 8 different schools in our conference, so it was really cool. And we're actually gonna be hosting the event here next year. So it was just something neat, something more academic to do with our kids, and they had an absolute blast. It was really cool. With procedures, I'm really impressed at how well our students are handling our new cell phone policy. I was ready for 20, 30 cell phones in the office the first 2 weeks of school. They've done a phenomenal job. So I mean, I know the news is gonna wear off eventually, but I'm just really, really proud of them and how well they've taken this new policy and law and they ran with it. So I really appreciate that. And with our instruction, something new this year at the middle school, you might have heard of it at the elementary school, it's called Reading Success Plans. So what that is, it's a plan for students who are struggling in reading. And it actually starts at the elementary and it's kind of graduated up to us now. The great thing is the elementary, they have lots, well maybe great, maybe not. They have lots of rules and regulations and policies on how they should run theirs. At the secondary level, we got nothing. They pretty much told us, here, you have to keep these going, and they can test out of them but you have to give them extra instruction, but good luck with that. So we're trying to learn and figure out what to do with our students, and I have to brag on Mrs. Churchill and Mrs. Ashley. They've taken the students, they work with them extra during the school day. They've made goals for them, created extra lessons, and they've been doing a phenomenal job. They've actually been going to some training with Mizzou, and when they got to this training, they were ready to learn all kinds of stuff, and the cool thing they learned was we were actually ahead of a lot of other schools that are going to these trainings. So I'm really proud of them for the hard work they've put in, and really proud of what our students are doing. So I'm hoping that this is really gonna raise a lot of our reading level scores. So we're excited about that. And then we've also instilled in our Wildcat time a read for 10. So the first 10 minutes of Wildcat time, we're having every single student in the building, all the way from 6th grade to 12th grade, read for 10 minutes. And I know some of them, balk at us, but even sitting there staring at a book, you're gonna get something out of it. Because anytime that you can get books in kids' hands and read with them, it's gonna raise their reading levels. And I know that's a struggle at even at the high school level. A lot of our reading levels are lower than we'd like them to be. So we started that read for 10, and the kids are doing a great job. The teachers, I asked them to sit at their desk and read for 10 to show our students that it's a lifelong reading. You can be lifelong readers. So we've started that to try to help our reading scores as well. And then our teachers have been really delving into our MAP and our EOC scores, which you're gonna see here in just a minute. They've been looking at our standards. We've been meeting twice a month now instead of just once a month to look at these standards to really try to guide our instruction based on what our students are doing on our state testing as well as our evaluate that we do every month. So that's my report for this month, but we're gonna look at lots and lots of data for you tonight. So we'll put that up here on the board. And as we go, if you have questions, comments, concerns, throw them out at us. So again, these test scores are from our spring of 2025 MAP, which is our Missouri Assessment Program, our EOCs, which is end of course testing, and our ACTs. So it's lots and lots of data, lots and lots of numbers, but our teachers have been digging into it and making plans with all this data. So we'll start with 6th grade. This is ELA. So what I've done is on the left-hand side, this is our 2024 scores. On the right-hand side, it's our 2025. Now what this compares, it's two different groups of students. So technically this is our 7th graders. Wait, I'm looking at it. Yep, they are now 7th graders. These are our 8th graders if you're looking at that. So it's two different groups of kids. This is not always my favorite one to look at because it's not the same kids. You're not seeing how the same kids grow. But this is showing what our teachers are doing in the classroom from year to year. So on this one, we actually went up by 4%. 4% is about 1 or 2 students. So you have to remember that a lot of times with the percentages, when you look at those, we're a smaller school. So whenever you look at 4 or 5%, that's just 1 or 2 students. And sometimes it feels like a lot, but in a smaller school, it just makes it look a lot more with those percentages. Sorry, yeah, we did go up. Sorry, I was looking at the state average there at the bottom. So we did go up from last year. And then what this is, it compares all the grade levels from 2018 all the way to now. And then it has our state averages there at the bottom. So we are below state average. We're slowly but surely crawling up there and getting there. So I'm really, really proud of our 6th grade teachers for what they did this last year.
So can you go back one, Aaron? So if I'm looking at that top line, in 2023, we're at 22%, and now we're at 31%. So
We are.
So we've grown 9, but we had a sharp dip from 21 to 22, and then another pretty good dip, maybe not as much, into 23, and then we've just been kind of steadily, looks like we put on 5 and then put on 4. So 4 or 5. So we're getting a couple students a year. Would you say that's accurate? Kind of digging down?
Absolutely. And it's really, really weird whenever you look at this screen for a lot of our scores. After 2021, you're gonna see a huge dip for all of them. And it seems like, and I'm not sure if that's just, COVID, that was the year we came back from COVID, because the kids in 2020 didn't take MAPs or EOCs. That 2021, you would assume it would be lower. It was actually higher. And then we had a sharp dip after that on almost every testing area there is.
One of the things I want to point out, this is something that we talk about quite a bit. Everyone anticipated a cliff in 2021, but I also think the state does. So it's important for you guys to know that they choose what proficient and advanced is after the kids have tested and they see the scores. So then they parse out what level do we want to say is proficient based on whatever attitudes and sensibilities they have, whatever tides are ebbing and flowing. I believe, and quite a few others do, that those 21 scores represent a scale score that was lowered in order to meet the threshold of proficient and advanced so that we didn't fall off a academic cliff after COVID. I don't know if I've told you guys that before, but most people suspect that's the reason you see that jump at 2021 and then the drop, right? Because now we're back and they know it's not going to, they're not going to be crucified quite as much for the academic hit.
And it blows your mind looking at all the different, when we get our data back, like the number, advanced and proficient is never the same from math to ELA to 6th grade to 8th grade. I mean, the ranges change. You can't just say, hey, proficient is from 200 to 500. It changes for every single thing we look at, which actually drives the teachers crazy. Me too.
They choose cut points to present the narrative that they would like to present.
So then this is the one that I really like to look at. So what I do is I take that one group of kids and I can show you what they've done from 5th grade to 6th grade, and then as we go through the presentation, 7th, 8th, and on up. So on here, they did drop slightly from 5th grade into their 6th grade year. Even though our scores rose from one group to the next, the same group did drop some. So that is something that we want to look at. But when you look at that 7%, it's only 2 students. I say only, but it's 2 students, it's not 15. So that's 2 students that we can grab and get back up this next school year. And then when we look at the 6th grade math data, so many acronyms and stuff going on. So this is last year's and then this year's. And on this one we did go down, or wait, we actually stayed the same on this one. Sorry, I'm behind on my thing. We stayed the same, so not too crazy there. We are still above or below that state average, which I really want to work on trying to climb up to get closer to that state average. That's where I would like our goal to be this next school year. But again, you can kind of see there's that 2021, it kind of fell off that next year. It's just kind of crazy whenever you compare the different ones.
Is this a trend that continues? I mean, we dropped 19%-ish, whereas the state average dropped about, well, it actually went up in this one, but in the last one it went down about 4%. So we're definitely beating the average significantly, which isn't good.
Right. Nope, and that's something that I definitely want to address this year and really focus on our math areas. We've been doing a lot of focusing on the reading. We need to be hitting that math a little bit harder this year, and you'll see that in all of our areas.
I think you're gonna see that also with what we're doing at the K-5 level with Eureka Math. Students going into the 6th grade should be far better prepared here in the next couple of years.
And I do appreciate everything that Cammie is doing to help prepare those kids so that we can keep them going. And then this is that same group of kids from 5th grade to 6th grade. They went down about 2%, but that's by 1 student. So they're pretty much staying about where they were in 5th grade. But again, we want to see gains, we don't want to stay the same.
Aaron, just to clarify, you're saying that percentage drop is the equivalent of 1 student, but we don't really know if that is the change of the number of kids in the class, or is that an
It could be the
official-
change in the number of the kids in the class as well, yes.
Depends
But-
if it's a good student or a bad student.
Right,
Right.
well, I'm just, because I feel like we've talked about this with elementary's report as well. I think it would be helpful to see our class size each.
How many kids?
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, yeah, that could be 2%, but we could have, I don't know, it could have been more than that, and yet we still barely dropped, or, you know what I mean, like,
Right.
sometimes the numbers are misleading, and all you're really telling me by that is that 1 student could have a 2% impact on our score.
Or 2% increase.
Are
Yes.
all students tested in this regardless if they have like a 504 plan and all that?
Yes, all students are tested. The only students that don't get tested for the MAP is anybody that's on a MAP A, which would be more of our IEP students that are very, very low. Even our regular IEP, all of our IEP students, they get tested too. Now, they do get accommodations, so whatever accommodations are in their IEP, they can do small groups and different things like that, but they get tested on the same grade level equivalent items as well.
Yeah, there's no map, other than MAP A, they take the exact same test as every other kid.
But even if you lost 1 or 2 students, I mean, you've got, what, 40 data points?
Right.
Ish. I mean, a kid would have to score 0 on it to have any significant difference on this test. Am I misunderstanding it?
So I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Just because we lose a kid doesn't mean that number's gonna move.
It's the size of the class that's the impact. So if they had a class size of 50 and dropped one student, then their average for 49 kids is what's hurting them, is what I'm taking from it.
I mean, it should be insignificant.
That is inaccurate. So if we have 50 kids or 40 kids, in one scenario, each kid represents 2.5 percentage points, 40 kids in the class. In the other scenario, each kid represents 2 percentage points. What we've done is we've said, based on the class that we've tested, in that class, we must have tested about 50 kids, so it's about 2% per student. So that represents, now, if you look at the difference between 40 and 50, that could be 0.5% to 0.75%. It's a rounding error, essentially. That could represent 2 students, but on average between the two, that's about 1 student. The better information that we get from this, other than proficient or advanced, is curriculum data. If I'm being real honest, yes, we do need targeted intervention to pull more kids out of that basic and below basic into proficient and advanced, but what we're seeing more often than not is pretty big curriculum gaps. Meaning, if, regardless of how many kids are in the class, if all 50 of them tested and were below state average on this set of standards, then we do a curriculum audit and we figure out that we only spend 2 days on that standard, and we expand that to 3, where we have 89% of our kids successful or proficient in a particular area, and we figure out we have 2 days on that, then we might spend only 1 or 1.5 class periods on it. So we're really tracking it by standard and then targeting individual students through our Wildcat time to get them the additional tutoring and the instructional enforcement that they need to hopefully get over this. Now, where it is a bit of you're chasing your tail, is what I said. It depends on where they set the scale score that next year. You could have a student improve their performance, but the scale score change, and therefore they went from basic to what it would have been proficient the previous year, but since the scale score changed, they're still going to be below basic, even though they improved.
So to that end, I mean, the chart that shows the state average is more telling than this.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with, honestly, in smaller populations like our school, the proficient and basic data isn't as useful to us as the standards-based data. Because until we have a solid curriculum K-12, and I mean in every course by grade level and in subject matter, you're really going to struggle to get any sort of consistency because we don't know where our holes and our gaps are in curriculum. Like pacing documents. Like we started on a pacing document 3 or 4 years ago. If right now, well, I'll speak to 3 or 4 years ago. If we went to unit assessment 3 and said on unit assessment 3, number 3, what standard is that testing? Very few of any of our tests were actually standards aligned. They just weren't. Our finals were the same. They weren't standards aligned either. They were a subject matter guess at what we feel is important versus what's written in Missouri Learning Standards. And we've been working on for 2 or 3 years now on getting those lined out. And until we have it with fidelity, we are going to be a little bit all over the board. Which is why we get 3 or 4 days at the beginning of the year, but we have open house in there. We do have PD, we have new teachers in there, and then we get sporadic Mondays through the year. It is difficult, which is why we're trying to do the exchange days over the summers to work on curriculum and really hammer some stuff out.
Okay.
All right, do they, on like Intel 6, do they still do the weighted percentage, or not weighted percentage, but the multiplier for the math index scores? Like if you get 20% in advanced, that's way better than having 20% in efficient, even though, proficient, even though it shows only 20%.
For APR, yes. We do,
So
they still
that could be
do
a big deal also. We're putting 20% and 10% in, as opposed to 10 and 20 in proficient and advanced.
I agree.
Multiplier there.
All right, let's keep moving.
All right. So looking at the 7th grade data, so last year we were 25, this year we were 36%. So we saw an 11% jump there, which we were very pleased with. I know that this is Mrs. Churchill, and she's been working a lot on revamping her classroom, and I was very impressed with this one. And then, we're not quite to the state average, but we are getting a lot closer, which is really exciting to see. We have seen the scores. I know there was a drop in 2024. We hit it hard, and they got up the next year. So we're hoping, let's hit that mark this year is our goal. And then this is the same group of students. So in fifth grade, they were 35. They dropped some in sixth grade, but they're back up to 36% again there. So we have raised our points there. And then seventh grade math. 2024, we were at 39%. This year, we were at 41%, only 2% below the state average, which is really great. I really love seeing that jump there. And again, we did a drop in 2024, but again, that was that same group that had that drop in ELA also. And they're back up where they need to be now, or getting closer. And then this is their comparison, so they dropped a little bit that sixth grade year, but now they're heading back up in the right direction. So same group of students, 41%, and in fifth grade they were 33. So good jump there, which we really like. And then our eighth grade data, for our ELA, we were at 51% last year. We did drop to 40% this year, but we're still really close to that state average, which is really good. So we're gonna see where we saw that drop and try to get back up there, that 3% this year. And then this is the same group of students all the way from fifth grade on up to eighth grade. And for sixth and seventh grade, they saw a huge drop in there, but now they're back up to 40%, which is really, really amazing. And again, we've been working really hard on that curriculum, and those other 2 years, they might have been playing with tests, playing with curriculum, and now we're finding stuff that actually works that our kiddos can use. And then we had our math scores. Last year was 61%, and we had 58% this year. And we do, I totally forgot that we do have, there's our students. There's 40, 43 is comparison there. So math in eighth grade is above the state average, which is very exciting. And our eighth grade math scores do very, very well.
This is Laura Voss.
Yep.
Really good job for us.
Laura Voss does a phenomenal job at eighth grade math. And there's a lot of stuff to put in eighth grade math too. And so again, they started off in 29% in fifth grade, and now they're up to 58% in eighth grade. And that's that same group of students.
Can we go back one slide?
Yep. And again, whenever you compare, like when you're looking at those top ones, those are different groups of kids. So we do know that some groups of kids that come through are higher, some are lower.
But this is the one area that we are blowing the state average out of the.
We are.
Which tells me, I wanna see the rest of it, but so far it tells me one teacher makes all the difference.
And I will tell you, that's one thing that I've been really harping on our teachers this year as well. I do believe that teacher relationships with the students, that's a huge deal. Because even for me in high school or even middle school, you know, if you like that teacher, you would bend over backwards for them, even if you hated taking this test. So that's one thing we're working on in the classrooms a lot this year, is building those relationships, really trying to be positive and motivating those students. So whenever it comes time, they might be like, I really don't want to sit here and take a test for 2 hours, but you know what, I really like my teacher, so I want to do a good job for them. And that's, Laura Voss does do a really, really great job at that. And then our eighth grade science has always been a challenge. And it's been a challenge because if you think about we've had different teachers in science. The 4 years I've been here, we've had 3 different science teachers in eighth grade. So we have not had a good, constant, somebody getting in there, digging into the curriculum, getting it steady, getting it where we need to be. But this last year we did jump up 11%, which is really, really great, but also 39% is the state average. Science is low in the state as well. But our goal is to keep crawling back. We have an amazing science teacher right now who's really digging into the curriculum, so hopefully this next year that'll make a difference. And let's hope that we can keep her in that position for a while. I think longevity really helps. And ninth grade Algebra 1, this is the one that is really upsetting to me. So we dropped from 57% last year to 27% this year. I have lots and lots of theories on that, but to me this is an autopsy right now. We don't want to go into the theories of that, but we want to look at what we can do to make it better for this next school year is the goal. And we are quite a bit away from the state average, and we are well aware of that. And I have already sat down with my math teacher, and we are making plans on what we need to be doing to get that better for this year.
Is that a new math teacher?
It was. Like
Well,
Rand's.
it was actually 2. It was our a veteran and a new teacher, both teaching those classes. One had 2 classes and one had another one.
Because if in 8th grade they're blown out of the water, they should still be blown out of the water in 9th grade.
We agree.
Okay.
And then this is looking at, you can see the students, now this is not the students of one grade level, this is looking from year to year to year. So
For
it's
the course.
apples versus oranges, if that makes sense. And we had a really, really great jump and then went downhill again. But I went ahead and put our plans on here so that you could see what our plans are for specifically math going on. And this is what I sat down with my current Algebra 1 teacher. So our goal is she's gonna have bell ringers every single day. So when the students walk into the classroom, there's gonna be a bell ringer on the board that's a review of something they've been working on. Because to me, if you teach me something in September and we don't look at it again and I have to take a test on it in May, I'm probably gonna forget it. So our goal is to constantly be putting the bell ringers up on the board the first 5 minutes of class. That's a review of everything they've seen so that they can keep remembering those skills, remembering those formulas so that they can use them. She's also gonna do weekly reviews based on the concepts. So she gives them a review sheet at the beginning of the week. They get to work on it in their free time until the end. And it's just a review of everything they've learned. Again, trying to just make sure that they remember everything that they've learned the year. We also have a great program called IXL. And you can assign lessons through IXL for specific students where they're low. So like if you see a student's low in algebraic expression, you can assign them some lessons to do, and they can do that whenever they get done with their normal assignments for the day. So she's gonna tap into a lot of those resources. She's also working on engagement in her classroom. She wants to make sure, because I mean, math, Bob, don't listen, can sometimes be really boring. So she's trying to find ways to make it more engaging so that the students are interested. They're gonna learn more if they're interested. And then she's also looking at the rigor in her classroom. She wants to make sure that the rigor on her assessments, on her assignments in class are matching the test, because that's what we've also found in a lot of these areas. We're not teaching to the rigor that they have on the MAP or the EOC. So we need to bump up some of our stuff in the classroom to make sure they're ready for that test. And then she's gonna start monitoring the students, doing some goal setting with them, and talking more with them about their monthly assessments. Say, hey, you know what, you scored proficient on your MAP test last year, but you're scoring 25% on your test in my classroom. Hey, what do we got going on? She's gonna try to do more one-on-one conversations with them to try to make sure they know where their learning is and what their goals are. So we have some things set in place that we're gonna really work hard on, along with a lot of the things you're gonna see at the end that we're working on with everybody. So we have things set in place, and that is definitely an area that definitely needs improvement for next year. The good news in our government, we're doing really well there. We stayed about the same. And I can tell you that I've talked to some teachers or principals around our area. Government is a struggle for a lot of areas, so I'm really glad that we're getting closer to that state average. And again, we're about the same, but we're hanging in there, close to that state average. So I feel like government's doing a really good job. He's gonna bump up some things this year to see if we can get to that state average. And then Bio 1. It went down slightly, but if you look, we still are above that state average, so that's really great. And that's what I like to look at a lot is where's the state average and where are we? Because that just tells us where all the students in the state of Missouri are performing. And you can see all the different years along the way, and I'm just really impressed and want to give kudos to Jordan Sallin. Because in 2022, he was at a 27%, he's now at a 41. So he's changed some curriculum pieces, he's changed the way he's done things in the classroom, and I'm very impressed with how far he's gone. And then our English 2, I was very impressed because in our English department last year, we had a brand new teacher who was coming from being a librarian, had never taught high school English before. We also had a critical shortage teacher in one of those classrooms who she'd never taught high school English either. And we went up. So I was very, very impressed with their hard work and their learning. I mean, they put the nose to the grindstone and figured out what those kids needed. So I was very impressed with their scores. And again, in that ELA, we beat the state average this year, which is really, really great. It's about staying the same every year, but we were very pleased with that. And then we had our ACT data. These are our juniors, and our juniors all take it, but this also could be any seniors or any other students. It could be seniors taking it, it could be sophomores who want to take it early. This is an average of all the students from our school that have taken this year. And so we had a 98% graduation rate, and we have 18.5% is our ACT score, our average, and the state's about 19.8. So we're heading in the right direction. We have a lot of plans this year to work on ACT items in our junior and senior classes. But that is definitely something that's in our forefront. So I have lots and lots of plans to really work on things. So we've been doing a deep dive, like Bob said. What we did in one of our PD days already is we took all the standards for math, EOC, ACT, and I had the teachers go through their pacing guides. We highlighted exactly where they were, and like Bob said, we looked at, okay, are you teaching it the right amount of days? Should we do more? Should we do less? So we really looked at that, trying to make sure that we were teaching longer on the things the students needed. And this year, we're really focusing on not just our core teachers helping out, but also our elective teachers as well. So we talked about those bell ringers. Our elective teachers are gonna also, like our music, our facts, those areas, are gonna add bell ringers into their classroom that are gonna help us. We found our students have issues with doing multi-step problems. So Mrs. Wells in the facts room can give some bell ringers with multi-step problems to have those students practice just answering those questions in her classroom. So it's not just gonna be in the core subjects, it's gonna be everybody working hard this year. We also are looking at that rigor. Now again, rigor, when you think of rigor, it's not doing things that are harder, but making it more critical thinking, making them actually have to use their brain versus just copying from one thing to the other. So we're gonna be really looking at that, making sure the rigor also matches the test. A lot of times if it's not matching the test, our students aren't going to do well. We've also reflected on our testing practices. A lot of times our teachers would do open note tests. Well, that's just copying from open notes to the test. That's just copying, it's not actually giving the information. So a lot of our teachers are going from multiple choice questions to more critical thinking, short answer, trying to get some more critical thinking out of them. And then we're also looking at our bubble students. What those are those students that they were like 1 or 2 points away from being proficient or 1 or 2 points away from being advanced. It's not just in the core classes, we're having everybody, even PE, find some of those students who are bubble students and give them that extra positive motivation in those classrooms. Because even if Mr. Shepherd comes in a week before the test and says, hey, I know you're taking the EOC next week, I want you to do a good job. If that's his favorite teacher, he'll go in and do a good job for them. So it's not just in the core classes that we've identified bubble kids, but they're gonna give them some extra support to hopefully bump those over to the next level. We're also gonna look at motivation is a big thing. Who wants to go in and take a 2-hour test? So a lot of our kids, they go in, they fly through it just because they don't wanna do it. So we're trying to do some motivating activities, some friendly competitions, some other things to try to get them motivated to want to do well and to want to show us what they know. And just our goal moving forward is using this data to drive our instruction. Find out where our kids are low, use it in the classroom, and use it every day. So that is our data from this year and our plans going forward. I know it was a lot of stuff. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions?
On the ACT scores on DESI, it shows a composite score. That's different from what you have there? Do you know what that is?
Isn't a composite score, I'm trying to remember which one's
That
which.
they take it multiple times, what their highest would be, or?
Yes, yeah.
And they just, so they total all,
They total all
They
of
take
their
your
math,
highest-
ELA,
the top ones out?
You
Yeah, we're
can take it
comparing
10 times,
Yeah.
and take your
and that's what we're looking
highest
at here is
score from
composite.
each category, and that's your composite.
Mhm.
Okay, so DESI's compiling that, then what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
And we can also divide it up by, we also have documents that show each individual area, math, science. If you wanted to see that as well, I could get that for you.
No,
also.
I was just wondering why it was different.
Yep. Any other questions?
Aaron, of all this information provided, like, how much of this have we compared to other schools that are testing higher?
I'm
Like-
still waiting for that to come out, because technically these scores are,
It's just preliminary.
Yeah, these are just preliminary. They're not final. So usually the final scores come out in December because schools can refute their data or anything like that, like if you're missing students, whatever. So I
Right.
usually wait until closer to December to pull everybody in our conference, or like, Bell, Fatima, some of the closer schools, to see are we comparable. A lot of times we find we are.
Well,
And
I'm
that
just more
makes us feel,
thinking to show what best practices that they are completing that would actually benefit to us and our students. Like, I think we have great plans, good things to aim for, but I'm sure that there are other things that schools are doing that maybe we should be adapting and trying to follow
And
through with as well.
one
What
thing.
other schools are doing is what we're doing, which is disaggregating data, doing curriculum audits, which most of the time when you're really far behind, it's because you have curriculum gaps, and curriculum gaps can manifest in a lot of ways. we could just not be teaching a standard much or at all. We find that sometimes. What we find most often is that we're teaching at a level that is far below what the expectation is at the state level. What schools that are being successful are, they're aligning their curriculum to state standards, teaching at an appropriate level of rigor, and making sure that they have great relationships in the classroom to deploy that. We have some areas that we really do have some pretty good relationships in the classroom, but if you have a low relation or a high relationship correlation, but then our standards are below what they're expecting, we're gonna get the same results. And so some places we're strong in one but not the other. Very few places are we really strong curricularly,
I
to
just
be honest.
wanted to make sure that where we're placing our efforts, we're placing it in the right place. And, I mean,
And
we
when-
can all make assumptions and theories as to what might work for our students, but, I mean, I know you guys know our kids sometimes better than most others, but I just wanna make sure that we are actually doing something that is going to make an improvement and a good measurement or a goal to aim for. And I know you threw a lot at us, and curriculum has been a big thing. We've, over the last few years, been trying to, like, they didn't have curriculum. We're working to get students to have their curriculum set up. I mean, was that covered in all of what you discussed tonight? I felt sorry. There was a lot
No, you're
covered.
good. And working on that curriculum, those pacing guides that we were talking about,
Mhm.
that's what we're aligning to those state standards to make sure those standards are what's being taught. Now, each teacher might teach it a little differently and depending on their resources. And that's one thing I do wanna look at this year is look at their resources they're using. Are they appropriate? They might not be. So that might be something just like Cammie did at the elementary school. She brought in the Eureka Squared. That might be something that we need to look at the middle school and high school. Do we need to bring in a different curriculum that's gonna support what we're doing better than what we have now?
I will tell you guys, one of the challenges that we haven't overcome yet, a lot of school districts, they'll take 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the summertime, and they'll pay their teachers to come in and create curriculum. Even if I had the money, if you had to give me a rating, and I'm putting both of you on the spot, what are the chances out of 100 that we could, even if we gave another month on top salary to pay for that additional time, that we would have the staff come in just to write curriculum for 16 or 20 days, however you want to look at it in the summer?
Like how many would?
Yeah, out of a,
I think at least 50% would.
I would say around that 50% mark.
that's if we could throw another month's salary at every one of those people to come in and do that.
And I will tell you, that's what a lot of school districts do, is they will pay teachers to come in during the summer for a week or two to actually write that curriculum, because during the school year, writing curriculum, teachers just don't have the time to do it. They're trying to teach in the classroom, they're trying to do great things for the students, they don't have time to rewrite everything, so sometimes they just use what they've already been using, because that's what they had time for at the time. But if we gave them some of the time, and that's what school districts do.
I am surprised. I expected somewhere near 20 or 25%. It's
We've done that in the
50%.
past. We paid a pretty good stipend for teachers to come in and write curriculum, write standards. Remember the standards we'd have during our reviews a long time ago?
Oh, yeah.
Writing our, was it
And
mastery?
we tried to do it during school.
Standards, and they'd give us like $100 for each time we come in or something like that. We prepped for state, kind of like audits, I guess it was back then.
We did it for math, you know, to be able to.
Math.
Or, not math, but, A+, in order to get, you
They just
know,
spent more
qualified
time
for
since they've
that.
done something like that.
Well, it sounds like we need to get creative and build relationships with retired teachers, or maybe we need to start exploring using AI to our benefit, but whatever it may be,
I've started that exploration.
I mean,
Now, one cool thing we did do yesterday, I took a couple of our math teachers, the Central State 8 teachers got together, or the principals, and we brought some of our math teachers to New Bloomfield to see what they were doing with they kind of had restructured their math, and their scores have skyrocketed. So what we're doing in our Central State 8 is, it's not kind of school against school, even though it is, yes it is. But we're trying to get together more, to work together, to help each other figure out, okay, how can we all succeed? So you were asking about comparing to other schools. So we got together yesterday in New Bloomfield. It was really cool getting all those teachers together from different schools just to talk and hear the ideas. So I hope we can do more of that, like find those good teachers in the different districts and say, hey, what are you doing? Let's work together. And I'm excited that our conference does that.
when you write curriculum, everybody should pull their own weight, because like group projects, a couple of us did it, the rest of them hung on our coattails. And if they're gonna teach it, they better know about what to do.
Sounds like college.
Yeah.
Team projects. I mean, clearly there was a drop off. The hard part, COVID happened right about then. Then we also went to the 4-day week. And do we think that had any bearing on it? I mean, the data says it did. I mean, because everybody else came back up and we stayed flat.
And that is possible. And I wasn't here during the 5-day school week. All I know is the 4-day school week. You are right. That's what the data does have that break off there.
I mean, there's a clear distinction between 5-day and 4-day week.
There's no way to have 20% less instructional time, and I know that we added a little bit of time to each day, but
Kids
by the
don't
time
have
you
the attention
extend the
span,
length of the
and they
day.
get up
It
early
doesn't
and they're
equal another
they're
day.
working
You know,
late.
I've been doing this for too long. It doesn't equal another day. 15 minutes on every class does not equal another day of instruction. Kids can only absorb so much.
Right.
By making you sit there for an hour as opposed to 45, 48 minutes, and losing a full day, that doesn't make up a difference. So you have to get pretty creative with it, and you start cutting stuff out, so you start doing it, getting really important stuff and letting the other stuff go. I know I get death stares when I talk about 5-day week is better for instruction, but it really is.
It's hard to argue with the data.
You know, I tell
I mean-
being in a classroom.
I think we need to continue that discussion. I would like to see, do you have all this data for the other schools, or you
Not
just
yet.
have?
I don't
mean,
have
you
it
will
yet for
have
this
ours.
year, but
I
I
mean-
do have it from, I know I have it from last year and I can get it from previous years
Will
too.
you be able to go look at other schools that have, because several schools have gone to the 4-day week and see if there's a similar drop off?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can do some research and see if I can get some comparisons for you guys on those.
It would
Okay.
definitely be more supportive of that theory than if it does show the same scoring.
Because that's something I have not done research on. So I will work on that.
All right. Thank you.
Circling back to what you said at the beginning, the homecoming festivities were amazing.
It was awesome.
And I know that it was a lot of work for all of you all, but that was pretty good.
It was
It was really neat to see the younger kids looking up to the high schoolers and seeing what they're doing.
Right.
My younger kids talked about it a lot.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was fun.
All right, superintendent report.
All of you have my report, so I'll keep this very brief. Of course, I touched on homecoming. I thought that was an amazing success, quite honestly, including the parade in town. To move 600 kids, 100 staff in and out of town, and to do that so smoothly and everybody was safe. I had just random emails from people in the community that said that our students were incredibly polite, that our staff just managed that entire process amazingly well. Shout out to also Rudolph Busing, Joe and them, man, they had our busing like clockwork that day. Get in, get out. Inside of 18 minutes, we did an entire parade. Really great. Karaoke on October 25th if y'all want to come out. Just had the one substitute. I do want to make sure this is on your radar. More of our students are qualifying for special education services to the point where our caseloads are getting overloaded for some of our teachers. So we're monitoring that very closely, but it's looking like if the trend continues, that we may be looking at having to add another special education teacher
Is
for
that
next year.
High school, middle school, or elementary?
Depends on the caseload and where they come in at. Are you asking where we're seeing the trend? I'll defer to Amy for seeing.
All over.
It's just,
It's all over. Right now, the greatest trend is in elementary. And we have one teacher that has 20 kids on their caseload and like 7 or 8 in evaluation right now. So potentially could get up to 30, close to 30 kids on her caseload.
Typically, if you get 15 or 16, you're starting to strain a teacher because that's individual for every student. So you have a classroom of students, but then you have 15 or 16 IEPs. That's like having 2 or 3 students that would be typical. So we're gonna have to take a look at that. Professional development, Dr. Cobb and I are going next Monday and Tuesday to reunification training, which is training in how to reunify families after a crisis event. And that's all in line with our shooter training, tornado training, that sort of stuff. Facilities, bond projects are proceeding well. The front entrance with concrete, those remediation discussions are ongoing, and it's likely that all or part of that will be torn out at the end of next summer and redone. Winter weather's coming, so I've just sent that out to staff, and we reviewed that today in ALT meeting. I'll send that out to families on Friday. Athletics are going very well. Football could be doing a little bit better. Band and choir are growing though. The alumni band experience was great. Cross country's postseason's coming up. Softball and volleyball are doing really well, so we're proud of them. I don't mean to go move on beyond them because they're not worthy of it, because they're doing a great job. Girls just won in South Callaway this evening, 4-1, to keep moving towards districts. We are looking at, knock on wood, our 20th appearance to the state tournament, should we make it, God willing, so pretty glad to see that. Budget and finance, give you a lot of information on there. Missouri School Finance, the Formula Modernization Task Force, the state board information, and the key funding priorities. Again, a lot of minutia there. Transportation seems to be funded, early childhood, high needs, safe schools. They are talking about restructuring our state adequacy target, but that's probably gonna be 4 or 5 years away. Right now, we just know it's not gonna change from 7145. I'll keep on top of that and give you information on it as I get it.
Questions?
Could you go back to, you said they're gonna tear out, what did you say they were tearing out?
So right now, they called it a scratch map, if I recall correctly. We've had Turpin come back in, which was the subcontractor, and they're going to present a remediation plan to the general contractor that will have to be approved by Navigate and us. There's quite a bit of it that looks like it's gonna have to be torn out and redone. Now, what the extent of that is, I'm not sure. It has to meet a set of criteria. And so they have to go through each one of those criteria and determine whether or not that particular section meets it. A lot of it doesn't. We're getting to the point where I think there's a high likelihood that we'll end up ripping out all of the concrete, or the vast majority of it that was poured this past summer.
I would agree.
Pretty rough.
It was. We had several parents last night at football practice. We were sitting there as it was dark, and the headlights were coming over, and see it in the dark with headlights once.
Yeah.
It is bad.
I sent the contractor those pictures about a month ago. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's not holding up well, and it's been, what, 3 months?
I agree. More than likely, because the reason that we poured that was to accommodate summer school for next year when we redid the main parking lot, so that we could use our new asphalt parking lot and the new entrance. So the current plan is whatever they end up doing with it, 0 to 100% replacement, starting at the other end of the main parking lot, working this way for 4 weeks so that we can get summer school over and finished, and then ripping out that entrance after summer school.
And that will all be on the contractor?
Yes, we were not gonna pay.
Okay.
All right.
Could I
Yes.
ask a question about salaries, base salary, how's that holding up with what we had?
So base salary is still our number one concern going into next budget season. Next year, our minimum base salary will be $41,200, up 3%, and will continue to climb. As it is right now, we're still at 37. I'm hopeful that we'll make a significant advance without unbalancing our budget going into next year. But right now, and for next year, the only thing that will keep us afloat is the minimum base salary grant by the state. If that folds, we'll be looking at it eating away at our fund balance until, they're not gonna change the legislation. I'm hoping they'll reconsider the 3% advance every year. But right now, we are not funded in a way to maintain the state mandate.
And all indications from the state is that they're gonna drop the subsidy.
What I do know is that they've asked for 5, 10, 15, and 20% cut points in most, if not all, of the departments at the state level. I don't know how much that's gonna impact our funding from DESI. I can't imagine they're going to remove or lower our state adequacy target and keep that grant. Most of the time, the grants are what goes first. And so my priority is putting everything we've got in our operating fund next year to try and mitigate that as much as possible. If it doesn't, we'll be looking at chipping away at our fund balance if that grant goes away. And I think we can survive somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 years before we start to hover around that state target of 20%. And like we were 25 years ago, you start chipping away 3, 4, 5% every year, within 7 years, we'll be financially unsolvent. Not because we're fiscally mismanaging, but because they passed a law on us.
Bob, that's a good segue into, what would the timeline look like if we'd go back to the voters in April? We can talk about it in a later meeting, but
Sure.
my gut feeling is April may be a good time to go back.
I think we have to strongly consider going back in April. Our recent AV put us closer, but we still have a significant hundreds of thousands of dollars deficit. But if we went back in April, what I plan to present to you guys, it's a little early, is something, if we go back in April and it gets passed, if we go back in April and it doesn't get passed, or if we run the election again. Timeline looks just like a normal April election. We would declare and declare in December, submit our paperwork in January.
December.
Yep.
Okay.
Good question.
The state, if you remember, the vouchers, the $51 million that was out of general funds that the governor took.
I don't know whether or not he'll prioritize that over the base salary grant, to be honest. I don't have enough information.
All right, district radios.
So you've seen my brief there. Right now we have one channel. We have fairly good, we have some breaking up, but we only have one channel. There's oftentimes, especially in emergency situations, where the last thing we would want is everybody on one channel of the radio. We really need to separate that out. And so there's nothing cheap about anything that we do now, but the idea is that we would have a channel for maintenance and custodial, a channel for high school, a channel for elementary. We would have a channel protocol for crisis so that we would know which channels we are switching to and what our emergency services would be using when they came onto campus. Right now, we're a one-trick pony, and it's not working very efficiently for us, and nor is it working very well from a qualitative sense. We'll just have, if there isn't anyone that's against it, I'd like to upgrade our radios to multi-channel radios, our boosters, so that we get clear reception all over campus, and also that equipment would allow us to have multiple channels for different uses, including emergency response.
How much of it?
Total, it's about $20,000 total to do everything, to upgrade. It's not cheap by any means.
Any concerns?
I would think that this would be pretty high priority item, considering we don't even have really great cell phone service here, so.
I agree.
Which is frustrating.
Safety issue.
Okay. Feed. Audit preliminaries.
As I told you in my brief, we ended up at 35.36, very near our prediction. Thought we'd be at 35.3, absolute luck. There's no way you get that close without a little bit of luck on your side. I don't anticipate our fund balance changing much as they finalize the audit. There's not really anything that could impact it. It did take a little bit longer this year, but that was because they had to deal with all the revenues and expenditures associated with our bond progress. Other than that, got another glowing report. The office staff did really well. If you're not aware, they have about 150 checkpoints, and what our ladies do is go in there and make sure they are numbered 1 through 150. So as they ask them for it, they just turn over each card and feed them exactly what they need. Few questions going back and forth for clarity's sake, but I think we're going to be looking good. And I actually, based on our AV increase, I think by the end of this year, we'll actually increase our fund balance somewhere between this number and 40%, which is why I want to be as aggressive as I can with salaries.
Bond budget update.
Bond budget update, as I told you in there, we are looking really good. A combination of being conservative up front, being really prudent with our money, and trying to keep into that well-optioned Chevy range. Right now, we have I don't want to call it a surplus, because surpluses can go away very quickly, but right now in planned spending out of a $10.5 million budget, we are just a little over $1 million ahead. What I need you guys to be really thinking about as you walk around campus the next month or two, by the time we get to January, we're going to be way down the road on the addition. The only major project we have after that is the main parking lot. I have already set aside that $1,034,000 doesn't include, I threw $100,000 additional contingency dollars just at that parking lot if we have to do soil remediation. We're going to be in a good spot. But we also had our community group that talked about quite a few projects. We have phase 2 projects to think about in several other areas, including, we intend to eventually put the weight room downstairs. Probably wouldn't cost us a lot of money to demo and go ahead and get them out of the old maintenance shed. Redoing the basketball court, that's $34,500. Fix the bleachers in the elementary came up because they're oversized. Do the gravel parking lot. One thing that I really would like us to consider, the only HVAC, we've got the elementary sorted out. We've got a field house coming in, bottom and top, and the new addition is squared away. We have 23 units that are 25 years old, and we're about to have to replace one at the tune of $15,000 just because it quit. If we were to use this money, and it would be about $350,000 or $400,000, we could completely replace the HVAC units in the existing high school, and then we would be looking really good there for about a decade to 2 decades. I'd really like to look at doing a little bit of aesthetic work to the old maintenance shed here. I'd like to look at, we're doing the backstop and bleachers at softball. I'd really like to take a look at that press box there, redo it, maybe bring in some bleachers that aren't broken apart. We have a lot of options is my point. We have, Football Boosters has been carrying the water on almost all of our football projects. I know they're trying to raise money to level and irrigate the practice field up top. That would be about $45,000, which is still a lot of money, but that's only about 4.5% of what our current surplus is. I'd love to see us meet them halfway there, more than halfway, quite honestly, because we're way behind. They've done us really solid. But what I'd like to find from you guys in this venue, if you would rather, or individually, call me and tell me what you really want to do with this money so I can come out with a plan to prioritize these projects and do the work that is most beneficial to our students, staff, and the community. The reason I'm saying it now is because January will hit us and then we have 18 months to spend the money. That's plan, do all the design work, do bids. We will run out of time very, very quickly. Summer of 2027 is the time that we have to spend this money.
All right. Good opportunities to have.
Yeah. Reaching out to boosters, reaching out to our PTO, talked to Matt McCoy yesterday. Hey, is there anything you guys are trying to do that might fit this bond language? So that we can get ahead with what our district needs.
All right, any questions on bond? Very good. We have one action item tonight. It's the final reading of the MEC policy.
So we do have 37 pages of policies there. As I noted, I put the edits all in bold italics. Many of them are mandatory. We don't have a choice. Some of them are recommended. I've included them all in there. In previous months, we went through and I kind of gave you the recommendation from MCE, kind of the logic behind whether they were encouraging us to adopt it or not. So all of these are the mandatory and the several that I've talked to you guys about, that were recommended in the district's best interest.
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
On this policy 4506, talks about minimum teacher salary, and it talks about applying minimum salary status to eligible teachers. Are we just going with this? Because are we going with the state minimum? Because I know with the masters it's different. I didn't think about salary schedule or anything in there. Am I missing something?
So we already meet the minimum salary for the graduate level. We meet the minimum state salary through the teacher-based salary grant. So we're adopting a policy that says that we will meet that. We do that currently through the base salary grant.
Okay, that's what I thought. It didn't say anything. I think with the masters, was it like 46 or something like that? It's
Yeah, which is where we're at now.
Right, okay.
We're right. That's the one where we nailed it. Masters with 10, we actually meet that requirement.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Other questions?
After speaking with legal counsel and several superintendents, we can, with one motion, pass all 28 policies at once, so you choose to do so.
I think that would be great. Could I get a motion to pass?
Sean, hold on, I just wanna give you a heads up, because I did, play around with ChatGPT on this, and I did have some suggested policy updates that I emailed to you this afternoon, but I doubt you've seen them. So, I don't know if you wanna wait and look at that, cause some of them were based upon state statutes and.
This is what legal counsel recommended to us, so, right?
Yes, I don't know that we
Okay.
would want to go. I mean, I'll look at them.
If you see anything glaring.
If I
then
see,
you
I'll
can-
bring those issues back, because we can always amend policy. We're choosing it to do it now, but we can always amend
It doesn't look like there's anything glaring, but just FYI.
Can I get a motion to
it. Which is interesting.
approve for the third and final reading of the the 28 MEC policies presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the 28 MAC policies as presented.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next regular meeting of the school board will be November 20th of 2025. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. We are adjourned.